All right, guys. So we have some pretty disturbing news out of Washington, right? Is Easton High School got eviscerated by parents for making students wear tracking devices, right? Or at least that's what they say. Some people say ankle monitors, but I'm also seeing and reading that they were on the wrist. I don't really know. Maybe some people wore them on their ankles, maybe some people wore them on their wrist, but regardless, they're wearing these devices that are supposed to help with contact tracing. So this is a part of the school's effort to, I guess, socially distance and to try to implement COVID safe methods. Now, here's the thing. I mean, parents, again, got pissed off by this, right? Because it's like, when you think about wearing a tracking device or ankle monitor or whatever, right? You think about criminals, right? You think about people that's on probation, people that's on house arrest. That's what you think about. So putting these things on high school kids obviously is going to piss some people off, right? It's going to piss some people off. It seems like more government overreach from the state, right? Trying to do a little bit more than what they actually really need to be doing. Okay? Or could it be a private company trying to, take advantage of a crisis? I think it's probably a little bit of both. But before we get into that, I want you guys to play this video of this mom's reaction when her daughter called her, telling her that they're putting an ankle monitor on her. Take a look.
A Washington state school district backing down after it forced student athletes to wear ankle monitors during practice as part of a plan to trace COVID-19. School officials shelving that program last night after so much pushback from the parents, saying, quote, "We will not put them back into place at all. We are going to allow the coaches and the parents to make the decision." Here to react is mother of an Eatonton High School volleyball player, Nicci Hadman, and radio host and former Seattle City Council candidate, Ari Hoffman. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, Nicci, how did you hear about it? I know you have a big problem with it. How did you hear about it?
I dropped my daughter off at practice on Monday for volleyball, and she had sent me a text saying, "Hey, Mom, they're putting an ankle monitor on me. This is really weird." So that is how I found out.
So then you drove to the school, and what happened next?
I drove to the school and confronted the athletic director, Gavin, and he did tell me he indeed did put a tracking monitor on my child. He apologized and said that he would speak with the coach that did it. It was very short and sweet. There was no answers for who was accountable for it, what repercussions there were, and there was no consent. I had not signed consent, and he really didn't have any other answers besides an apology.
As a parent, if you hear your child has a tracking device on them, usually your child is in prison, right? Or out of prison and being watched by the government. So, Ari, I know you broke this story. How'd you hear about it?
Well, what happened was Nicci actually posted a picture of the tracking device on social media. One of my listeners called me and said, "Ari, have you seen this thing?" I checked it out. I got in touch with Nicci right away. But also what I did was I called a friend of mine who was a member of the Eatonville School Board. And I spoke to them and I said, "Is this happening?" And the school board was just as surprised as anybody else. They knew this program was being considered, but they didn't know it had been implemented. It seems that the superintendent of the school and the athletic director took it on themselves in order to implement this program, and the school board had no idea it was actually finalized and in the works at the school itself.
Nicci, I know you've received backlash. What are people saying?
They're just upset that I'm taking away children's football season, which is absolutely not what I'm trying to do. If these parents want to have these tracers on their children, that's their deal, not mine. My child is absolutely not wearing one, and I would never okay that. And I was not given a choice whether she was going to wear it or not. And I think that is completely wrong and absolutely horrifying.
Well, Ari, the community spoke out, and now they have implemented this change. Now it's up to the coaches and to the teachers.
Guys, can you imagine, right? Get a phone call, okay, for your child and them saying, "Hey, Mom, the school is putting ankle monitors on me," right? Like, oh my God, only can imagine. Like, some of y'all probably be up there in a fast minute, okay? You be pulling up, okay? I'm pretty sure a lot of parents were angry about that. But, again, I was looking at this device here, right? Apparently, the device is called Proxy Trace. Okay, and the school says that, well, it doesn't really track students in the sense that it tracks their absolute location. It tracks them relative to other people that are wearing the device, right? So if you come in contact with somebody that's also wearing the device, then, you know, they kind of know that, right? It's supposed to be for contact tracing. Now, apparently, it can be worn on the body, it can be worn on a hard hat, and this company and their technology, right? It looks like it initially was marketed towards like construction companies or refineries, you know, construction companies, things like that, right? To help improve workplace efficiency. So I think that when this pandemic happened, right, I think that this company said, you know what? This technology that we use, right, that's designed for these other businesses and industries, why don't we start marketing this towards schools, right, as a way to contact trace? And then I think that's kind of how it went, right? They basically took advantage of the pandemic, right? They saw a market opportunity and they went for it. And with all this government money out here, right, that Biden has essentially given to these schools, so much money that a lot of these schools, guys, they don't even know what to do with the money, right? This is why I have an issue with these big government programs where they just say, oh, we're giving $300 billion to the schools, right? It will be used for X, Y, and Z, right? Like a general laundry list of things, but there's no real specifics in terms of what the money should be used for. So a lot of these schools, guys, they're just getting a lot of federal money, and they have so much money that they don't even know what to use it on, right? So they just use it on stuff like this. And I'm pretty sure this company knows this. They're aware that, oh, okay, you know, these schools got a buku amount of money from the federal government that they don't really know what to do with. Let's take advantage of this opportunity, right? Let's take advantage of getting some of this taxpayer-funded socialism, right? Let's get that government check, right? That government contract, right? I mean, that's kind of the way they look at it. And they swooped in. The free market always has a solution. Now, apparently, the school board was considering this, right? But this school decided to go ahead and implement it anyway. So they claimed that they was shocked to find out that the school was doing this. And apparently, this was being done specifically with athletes, right? Those who are vaccinated and unvaccinated, in order to, again, trace them and to see who they come in contact with because they play contact sports. Now, there are conflicting accounts in regards to whether or not there was consent given for this, right? I mean, some parents say that they had a meeting where they, you know, got consent. They reluctantly signed the forms. They didn't really want to, but they did because they basically said that the kids can't play sports unless they participate, right? So they told kids, unless you wear this ankle monitor, you cannot participate in sports. Now, in the case of that mom that we saw in the interview, she's basically saying that they didn't get consent at all, right? That her daughter just called one day and said they was putting an ankle monitor on her, right? So what could have happened was that the school was hesitant. It could have been one of those situations where, you know, they had a meeting or they sent out some type of notification and some parents got it, some parents didn't, right? Some parents, you know, they went to the meeting or they talked to the coaches or, you know, school administrators and, you know, they signed a consent form. A lot of them probably did it reluctantly. And then there's some parents, again, that just never knew anything at all, okay? Because some parents are really busy, right? They don't, you know, get all the messages from school. They probably just missed this one, okay? They probably just missed it. So obviously, some parents did not give consent, okay? So instead of informing those parents, they just went ahead and getting consent. They just went ahead and just placed the ankle monitors on all the kids. At least that's my interpretation of how it went down. Now, obviously, this caused outrage, right? All over Facebook, all over the internet, as you have some people here that are basically saying that this is wrong, right? You have this one person here saying that this is ridiculous. It's almost like you're shaming the students. If that's not a form of bullying, I don't know what is. The only students that have to wear the monitors have not had the COVID vaccine yet. Kids have enough stress these days. That ain't exactly true about the vaccination part. Those who were vaccinated and unvaccinated still had to wear it. Even though I do think those who were unvaccinated, they had to quarantine if they came in contact with somebody that is suspected to have the virus, I believe. So yeah, you can see people are upset, right? So upset that they essentially rescinded the program and they canceled the program. Now, here's the thing. Here's why I think this school went wrong, right? I think they went wrong in regards to getting consent, right? And I also think that This is something that should have been discussed and I think voted on from the parents in the community before being implemented, right? That's one of the things I really don't like about how schools work to a certain extent, is that I don't think parents have enough input on certain initiatives and certain policies, right? Something like this, right? I think this is something that you have to get consent from parents to do, right? You have to be very upfront about what you're doing and make sure that nobody is participating unless their parents have consented to them being a part of this, right? And it seems like the school was in a weird position and they was trying to be sneaky about it because, one, again, the school board didn't know about it, or at least allegedly they didn't know about it. And also on top of that, like, if you think about it, in order for this to work, right, if you're contact tracing athletes, right, that participate in contact sports, everybody has to wear it, because if everybody doesn't wear it, then the experiment doesn't really work, right? You're not really getting good data. The whole point is to see who's coming in contact with who and determine who needs to quarantine. That's the stated purpose. So everybody has to wear it. Essentially, everybody has to agree to it. So again, they were probably afraid that, well, obviously most parents are not going to agree to this. So, hey, you know what? We might just do it, right? And not say anything about it and hope that, there's no outrage. I think that's kind of what these people were thinking. They thought they'd just better get away with it, because there are some parents that are probably okay with it, right? They probably don't mind it, like, whatever. Okay. It's for, safety, whatever. And then there's obviously some parents that are not going to be okay with it. So, you have to make sure that you get everybody's consent. And if some parents just don't want their child participating, they just don't want a child participating. But with that being said, I think it's wrong to say, oh, well, you can't participate in this sport if you don't want to wear this device. I think that's wrong as well, too. Right? I mean, you're putting a lot of stress on these kids in regards to this stuff. Right? A lot of these kids, they're in school to learn. You want as less stress on them as possible in regards to a lot of this stuff going on in the outside world. Kids are smart. They're not stupid. When schools, try to do things behind the parents' backs, kids' BS meters go off, right? Y'all remember that story I did about the woke survey they sent home with kids, where the teachers told the kids, don't tell your parents about the survey, don't ask them for help on the questions. And the kids was like, well, this is not right? I'm supposed to tell my parents everything. They're smart, right? Smart kids. Okay, that BS meter went off, right? And when that happens, that is the worst way for parents to find out. The worst way to find out is that a school tried to sneak and do something, or they did something without consent, okay? Because that is what creates distrust, which ultimately is not helping their case, right? It's not helping their case. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.